The background of the project goes back to the time when I was serving in the peacekeeping operation in Mali, in MINUSMA. And actually it addresses some of the shortcomings that became obvious in terms of the mission's mandate and its ability to respond to an emerging IED threat. So as a peacekeeping operation, it was one of the first that was heavily targeted by IEDs from 2013 onwards. So early on we found out that material was coming from neighboring countries because we would find it in caches or during exploitation after incidents. And so through the counter IED architecture of the mission as that was maturing, one of the major shortcomings that we identified was this ability to actually reach out and engage with neighboring countries to understand how the material was ending up in Mali. And so this project was actually developed after I left the mission and building on other research that this modern survey was doing on weapons and ammunition trafficking in the sub-region of West Africa. And we engaged with ECOWAS, so the Economic Community of West African States, and the member states themselves to kind of present the findings from that research. And during those discussions, we highlighted that, in fact, we should also be looking at the trafficking of commercial explosives and other items that are ending up being used to build bombs in Mali. And that was sort of the genesis of the project. The main objective of the project is to generate baseline field research related to the trafficking of these components to understand what material is coming from where and what are the trafficking routes and the dynamics, the modalities of trafficking, and to potentially identify responses that states can have to that trafficking. It's not only an issue in a country like Mali, although it's heavily affected. Other countries have also been affected by IEDs in the sub-region, namely Burkina Faso and Niger, and increasingly Ivory Coast, Côte d'Ivoire. So it's something which has been spreading geographically over time, and it requires a regional response because of the interconnectedness of the trafficking networks and the fact that the material is being sourced in different countries and is being brought together to build these devices. So it's really about doing the baseline research so there can be responses that are informed by research, and also to build coordination between states to address it in a holistic manner. I'll just give a little bit of background. We've been running this project since 2019, and initially we focused on two of the most heavily affected countries, so Mali and Burkina Faso, and then also one of the major sources of supply for explosives, which was Ghana. And so we conducted country studies in those three countries. And then the following year we expanded geographically, looking at Niger, Guinea, and Ivory Coast. Some of those are states that are affected by IEDs, others are potential sources for explosives that are making their way into the IED networks. And in 2021, we continued that geographic expansion, deepening some of the research in some countries and holding workshops with national counterparts and industry actors to look at what could be done to respond to the trafficking and diversion of explosives. So we ran workshops in Ghana and Burkina Faso this year, and we've been conducting research also in Cameroon, and keeping an eye on other locations which are connected into those networks like Libya and Chad. And we've also been engaging, presenting some of the findings with international, connecting into international processes and the sort of arms control architecture, the additional protocol to the Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons. We've also highlighted the research in a presentation to the UN Security Council. And yeah, more or less the field level research is continuing this year and will continue in 2022. I think for me, professionally and personally, the highlight of the work this year has been the workshop which was organized in Ghana with the support of under the auspices of the National Small Arms Commission there, and with the support of their National Security Office, which called together government and explosives industry actors. Because we've known for a long time that Ghana is a major hub for both the mining industry and the commercial explosives industry as a result, often connected to the gold mining. Both legal gold mining and artisanal gold mining. So it's a major source of material that is diverted and ends up in these ball milling networks. So having a workshop where the government was able to bring together all of the explosives industry actors into one room to talk about these regional dynamics and to get their views on what can be done to tighten up controls over commercial explosives. That's, for me, has always been one of the sort of key objectives, things that we were really hoping we could work towards and promote. And that came to pass. So I was really, really happy about that. And it actually led to the industry actors themselves creating an association to try to support the state to tighten up leakage of lethal material or lethal material that was making its way into these networks. So I think that for me was one of the biggest breakthroughs, and certainly the sort of thing we'd like to emulate in other countries. In 2022, our focus is going to be on developing a summary of everything that we have done to date in the form of a publication, which is something we haven't done so far. We've been producing essentially a synthesis report every year, which we share with national counterparts and other key partners, which summarizes the findings from the different field research with additional analysis. So this year we'll be doing a publication to synthesize that and the new material that we produced in 2021. We'll also be supporting a regional event with ECOWAS and the other partners. And the exact form of that is still to be determined, to be negotiated with those partners, but something which will obviously take us a little bit further down the road towards developing regional strategies around IEDs and coordination mechanisms and information sharing mechanisms between states. And we will also continue the field research that we're doing. So in 2022, we also have additional research and workshops which we'll be carrying out and looking towards what we can do to support states to build their capacity and do their own internal planning and stock taking processes to determine their level of preparedness to deal with the IED threat and to kind of tease out some of these issues around regional cooperation and information sharing platforms between states and other key actors like Interpol and others who also work in this domain. And we're starting to see on a continental level that the same thing is happening. So there's a draft strategy for countering IEDs in Africa being developed by the African Union. And we're also seeing that similar work to what we're doing is being done in East Africa with the Intergovernmental Authority for Development, so IGAD, looking at development of a regional counter-IED strategy in East Africa and the Horn. So it's, I think there's sort of a cascading effect here where the architecture is starting to come into place at a continental level, regional level, sort of sub-regional, and then at a national level. So I think that's some significant progress. And if we can continue the baseline research that will inform the development of those strategies, all the better. That's really how we've always envisaged this, that it was connecting research with policy and strategy development and then actual operational responses to the threats.